a pivot point indicator. First we'll add the control panel, then the pivot point indicator. Slide this over. This indicator can go from the yearly pivots down to hourly pivots. It has a number of pivot types that it can calculate. Normal floor pivots, Fibonacci, Woodie, Camarilla, and DeMark. We're just going to use normal floor pivots. You can have it so it shows the labels of the pivots, like this. You can also have it so it can show the pivot values, or you can just show the values, or you can show nothing, just the pivots themselves, which after a while most people get used to that. You can change the font size of the values that are printed by each pivot line. This set, you can show these values here, the values of the last row, the last number of pivots. You can change the color. You can make these values darker. You can also change the size of these here. This controls how far back, basically, it can go. This is 10 pivot periods, so if it was set to yearly pivots, it could go back 10 years. If you type 10, or if you type 5, or whatever you need, it will go back 5 periods. Next, if you do select the Camarilla, there's two types, I guess. There's a normal and one that uses the previous close. So that's what that variable does. Then you can select what day of the week is the start day for the next pivots. What I've seen is most people have, for the weekly pivots, they start on Monday. There's also, I'll go back up here, there's this auto select mode, which if you enable it, what it will do is, depending on the time frame, it will change the time frame of the pivots themselves. These are yearly. When you go to the daily chart, they're displaying monthly pivots. Go to the 4-hour, they're displaying weekly pivots, and so forth. So that's what that variable does. Auto mode for basically only for the daily pivots. For some symbols, stocks, commodities that have uneven days, or days that don't quite line up, they're not the same, you can enable that, or it's enabled by default. Or you can turn this off, disable it. You can change the offset hour, even the offset minutes. That's for maybe commodities, something that starts at 22 minutes past the bell. There's also a 4-hour offset for the 4-hour pivots. This show third pivot, you can turn it, it just will show this upper pivot. And then this you can enable or disable, turn on and off the mid-levels themselves. Here is where you set the resistance color, or that's what I call them, up here. This is the central pivot color and the support color. You can change those, and you'll remember it. And this is just the central pivot width, central pivot style, and so forth. This is support and resistance width, these lines and these lines. And this is the mid-level width and color. Other than that, it's a fairly simple, hopefully, easy to use and fast